US is moving military assets, in fact a warship, towards the Middle East. Is about to get down in Iran. As Qatar and every other Northeast Middle East countries are saying that America should not attack Iran. And meanwhile, America also have removed their own military base from Qatar. Not only Qatar, from other countries in the Middle East. Not very Qatar, and surprised me, because now remember when Donald Trump came into power, it was this same Qatar that bought him a private jet or a plane. Now remember, so that plane was to bribe Donald Trump. Donald Trump knows all of that. I told you that Donald Trump knows the bad people in the Middle East. So he is now removing all his military from all this Middle East because why? Iran has threatened that if America should strike them, they are going to target all their bases in all these Middle East countries like Qatar, like Saudi Arabia, like United Arab Emirates, just like what happened in the 12 Days War, when they went and attacked that American military base in UAE. So now America is on their way with their own warship towards the Middle East after telling their own military to evacuate all those areas from all those their base, their military base in the Middle East. Maybe before we continue, let's listen to what is happening now, how America is preparing to confront Iran. Let's listen to it.
The U.S. is sending military assets to the Middle East as President Trump weighs the Iran strike. That is some of the latest reporting out there. But for more on this, let's continue to talk about this, bringing in our next guest to help break it all down with me. Please join Fox News' Chief National Security Correspondent Jennifer Griffin. Great to have you on, Jennifer. What is the latest here that we know about these rising tensions?
Well, thank you, Mike. The State Department today announced new sanctions against Fardis prison, where many female political prisoners are held. Ali Larijani, the head of the Supreme Council for National Security, he was sanctioned, and 18 individuals or entities linked to a shadow banking network involved in laundering the regime's oil revenues. The U.S. military had presented options for President Trump to consider, but could not guarantee the regime would be overthrown. The president reportedly wanted assurances that any military action would be swift, decisive, and not lead to a wider war in the Middle East.
It's out there that are, in my view, not accurate. President Trump's resolve is not the question. The question is, when we do an operation like this, should it be bigger or smaller? I'm in the camp of bigger. Time will tell. I'm hopeful and optimistic that the regime days are numbered.
Senator Lindsey Graham is heading over to Israel this weekend to discuss options. So what would the president's military options look like? The U.S. military posture in the Middle East was not ready for a decisive strike. It had no aircraft carrier in the Middle East for the first time in years because the Pentagon ordered the USS Ford to the Caribbean. Yesterday, 2 aircraft carriers left San Diego and Norfolk. It's not clear whether they have orders to proceed. And the USS Lincoln in the South China Sea may be repositioning to the Middle East, but would not be in position for another week or 2. Also, the U.S. returned one of its anti-missile batteries back to South Korea and other missile defense batteries back to the United States following last summer's strike on Iran's nuclear sites, which burned through a lot of interceptor missiles that have yet to be replaced. Military experts say the president still has a lot of firepower in the Middle East, to likely include an Ohio-class submarine capable of firing up to 154 Tomahawk missiles. Regime targets could include missile production and storage sites, oil refineries key to their economy, or to go after some of the leaders themselves. This former U.S. Supreme Allied Commander recalls how Israel decapitated Hezbollah.
The Israelis use cyber attacks to bring leadership together so that they can bomb and kill the leadership. So there are multiple tools that can be used in different ways to cause these very same kinds of problems to this regime. And I believe we should be there. We should not only be attacking them in a cyber way, but we should be entering into the information warfare piece.
There are economic and cyber options at the president's disposal, including accelerating the collapse of the banking system, Mike. That is keeping the regime and the IRGC, the Revolutionary Guard Corps, and security forces funded right now. Mike.
Jennifer, it has been such a week here with these tensions. I think a lot of people were surprised yesterday when President Trump made some news inside the Oval Office saying that, you know, he felt like the killing was over in Iran and really maybe stepping back from his red line that he put really in the ground.
I would describe it, Mike, perhaps as a pause while the U.S. military sets the battle space over in the Middle East. As I said, many of the assets that they may need for a strike or for follow-on strikes or to defend U.S. bases. We have 30,000 troops over in the Middle East at various bases, which are somewhat unprotected, as well as protecting Israel. So while those assets move into place, I think the president has paused any decision. He has put on these sanctions. He is still sending a message that he stands with the protesters, but he's also given a warning to the regime that if they carry out any hangings, there are about 800 hangings that were slated to take place today. They did not occur as far as we know. He'll be watching very carefully for if there are any violence against the protesters, if the protesters continue going into the streets, and if the security forces continue mowing them down, or if those hangings resume. So things are very much fluid as we speak. From sources that I've spoken to, the president has not made any final decisions. I think it's significant that Senator Lindsey Graham is going over to Israel right now to see what their needs are, and you know, they're talking to allies. There is a diplomatic piece to this, but I don't think this is over at this point, and I don't think the protests are going anywhere.